How's it going, guys? I'm your host Korriban Gaming. Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms video, and you guys have been asking me for it. I know I've not been super active on this channel, but here it is, the next part of the Commander Guide series, and for today we will be looking at Richard the Lionheart. Alright, so Richard is one of the first few legendary commanders inside of the game, okay, to ever be released, and in fact he is the very first legendary commander that you can get from spinning the Wheel of Fortune. Alright, so back in the early days, Richard used to be a very good commander, one of the top few. In fact, I would say maybe top 3 legendary commanders, but as time went on, his use rate starts to fall down and he's no longer as effective or as useful nowadays as compared to when he was in the past. That being said, Richard is still a very good commander nowadays, though he is not as strong as he used to be before, but he is still very useful. And if you are not past your first KVK yet inside your kingdom, then you would definitely want to be using Richard, because he is quite a good commander inside of KVK 1. In fact, one of the best, since you don't really have many choices for commanders inside of KVK 1. Now let us look at his skills. First skill, Soul of the Crusaders. Okay, heal some of the slightly wounded units up to a maximum healing factor of 1400 in Richard's army. Adds a debuff to a maximum of 5 targets in a fan-shaped area, and the debuff effect reduces damage dealt by 30% and march speed by 15% for 2 seconds. Okay, so all this is at the max level. Okay, pretty good first skill. You get a healing and then you get a debuff as well, and the best part is the debuff is a fan-shaped area effect. So if you're trying to swarm down something, maybe you can use a Richard at the side to debuff their damage reduction. Maybe not so much for the march speed, because I don't see that being very useful other than being in open field. But if you're trying to swarm down like a flag, a city or something like that, then maybe you can have a Richard at the side, not only to tank but also to reduce the damage output that you're getting, that you're receiving from the enemy. Next up, Chivalry. Okay, at max level, your damage reduction is you have increased troop damage reduction by up to a maximum of 15%, and counter attack damage bonus by up to a maximum of 10%. So the numbers are not fantastically high since this is a Gen 1 commander, but that being said, it's a very good skill in my opinion. 15% damage reduction and another 10% counter attack damage bonus, that is pretty huge. Extra 25% stats in one skill, definitely nothing to scoff at. Next one, the Lionheart. Increases the attack of infantry units by up to a maximum of 15% and defense of infantry units by up to a maximum of 15% at max level. Okay, fourth skill, Battle Hardened. Increases healing effects received by troops by up to a maximum of 30% and reduces watchtower damage taken by troops by up to a maximum of 30% at max level. And for his expertise, you get Tyrannical Lion. Reduces all damage taken by another 5% and increases damage dealt to cavalry units by infantry units by 2%. In addition, every 10 seconds decreases target march speed by 50% for 5 seconds. Okay, so his third skill, really good, 30% bonus to your infantry stats. Fourth skill, you get a bit of healing enhancement. 30%, I would say is pretty big considering his healing factor is already 1400. The damage taken from Watchtower, I would say, is not very useful, to be honest. 30%, you probably won't be using this as much. Okay, the last skill, however, this is really good for the open field, because not only do you get a further damage reduction, but you also get increased damage dealt to cavalry, and the best part about this for open field is it decreases march speed of the target by 50%. That is half, so that ensures that you'll be able to chase down anything that you need to, because infantry is already inherently slow. Now let us go through the talent builds that you can have for Richard. Okay, so first up is his open field build. Now all of Richard's talent builds are exactly 100% similar to the one that I showcased in the Charles Martel guide, simply because Richard has the exact same talent tree as Charles Martel. Okay, you get an infantry tree, you get a defense tree, and you get a garrison tree. So the best talent tree for open field, hands down, for Richard is this talent tree right here. you get this which decreases your damage dealt, but at the same time you also reduces the amount of damage that you take. This is by far the tankiest build that you can get for Richard in the open field, and I highly recommend every single person to use this build. There is no better build for an open field Richard or Charles out there. It has already been proven and tested multiple times that this is the best build one-on-one. Even against many enemies, this build does amazingly well, so I definitely recommend you guys to use this build. Next up, Richard for city defense. Okay, so this is a city defense talent tree. Personally, I wouldn't really recommend using Richard as a city defense. I would prefer using Charles Martel. But if you don't have a Charles Martel, or if you need something with a lot of tank, let's say your city isn't super high level, maybe you're going up against the Shadow Legion, you could consider using Richard. But if you have a high level Charles Martel, I will use that over Richard. That being said, this is the talent tree build that you want for Richard. If you want to use him for city defense, you are picking up this, which gives you a bunch of extra stats, and of course you're picking up all the goodies that you get from being inside of a city garrison defense. Okay, so you want to pick up this skill as well to get a bit more rage, and this one to increase your defense when your infantry units drop below a certain percentage. And of course you get all of the standard good stuff from the defense talent tree build, but you're missing out this and a bunch of stuff from the infantry tree. You do not want to take all of these from the infantry tree. Why is that so? Is because when doing city defense, chances are you will have mixed troops inside a city. I don't think there's anyone in the game who trains only one specific type of troop and have no other troops inside of their city. I haven't seen a single player done that before. So you will be having mixed troops inside your city, which means that anything that affects only infantry, you're only getting 1/3 of the value. So I wouldn't pick any of those up, and I would rather go for the garrison skill tree instead. Now, next one, defending flag. Okay, defending flag, you have a bit more versatility because you can take and choose what do you want to put inside your flags. And obviously, for the best results, you want to put all infantry inside the flag to get the maximum effect out of Richard. Okay, so this is how I would do it. Now, to be honest, I wouldn't recommend using Richard to be garrison inside the flag. This is because of his healing skill. Now, healing is actually a double-edged sword inside of this game, if you ask me, simply because the more you heal, the more resources you have to spend to heal your wounded troops inside of the hospital. And for KVK wise, if you're talking from a resource and speed up standpoint, you obviously don't want that, because let's face it, most of your flag fillers or your garrison fillers, they are not going to be big players. They are probably medium-sized players, maybe even small players. They won't have that much resource or speed ups to continuously heal, so you don't want to keep healing inside of your flags. So I wouldn't really recommend Richard as a flag defense, to be honest. Again, I would prefer someone like Charles Martel. But that being said, if you don't have another choice, then you can use Richard for flag defense. Okay, last but not least, the Richard build that counters Attila. Okay, so Richard is a decent counter to Attila, though the best one is still Charles Martel and Constantine, but you can use Richard as well. Richard is actually really good against a Attila because of his expertise skill. You deal more damage to cavalry and all that sort of healing and whatnot. Okay, but keep in mind, Attila does not do skill damage. That means you don't want to invest any points that give you skill damage. Okay, this is specifically this build is specifically for garrisoning against an Attila rally. Okay, not for open field against Attila. For open field, just stick with the open field build. For if you're going up against Attila and you have Richard as a garrison, then this is what I will use. You do not want to pick up anything that reduces skill damage other than the ones that you don't have a choice because you want to get to here. But you don't want to pick this up, obviously. This one increases counter attack damage. Wait, let me take a look. Does this... Yeah, it doesn't... You don't have anything that reduces skill damage because it will be a complete waste going against Attila, which means you want to pick up everything that just reduces normal damage, that buffs other things, but has no effect on skill damage at all. So you want to pick up some stuff from the garrison tree as well, not this and not this, because it doesn't affect flags. It only affects cities. And you want to pick this up definitely so you can deal more damage to cavalry. So this will be the talent tree I would use for defense against a Attila rally. Okay, that being said, I would still not recommend you to use Richard to defend against an Attila rally if you have a Charles Martel or if you have a Constantine. Okay, now what exactly is Richard used for nowadays? He's not that great in flags, he's not that great in open field, he's not that great. He's good, but he's not the best at anything nowadays. Okay, Richard, I would say one thing that he is the best at nowadays is actually Art of Osiris. That's right, guys. Art of Osiris, you at the top end game level of Osiris, you will not be caring about how many troops you need to heal, because you will not be healing at all in Art of Osiris. If you're playing at the very top level, okay, you'll have all your whales and they can just let their troops, you know, die and whatnot. Okay, so in Osiris, the main key factor you want is sustain, to hold the structure as long as you possibly can. It doesn't matter how many wounded units you take, it doesn't matter how many units die, because none of that matters. You just need to hold the structure for the longest amount of time, and Richard with his insane healing is perfect for the job. That's why Richard is one of the best, if not the best, garrison commanders you can have inside Art of Osiris. Campaign up with a Constantine and you have a super tanky garrison that will take ages to go down, and the longer it takes, which means the structure will be taking more points for you, and at the same time you're also denying your opponent of more structure points the longer you hold the structure, or the longer they have to take down your Richard garrison structure inside of Ark. Okay, so now let's go through the pairings for Richard. Okay, so first off, you can pair him with a Constantine secondary. That works pretty well with a full infantry army. Okay, you can also pair him with a YSG. That's right, guys, you can pair your Richard with a YSG. Why do I say that? It's because open field, especially for places like Ruins. Okay, Ruins is a place where not especially for the new KVK. Okay, not the old KVK, the new KVK. You want to pair Richard with YSG. Why is that so? Because you get a lot of tankiness from Richard. On top of that, you get the AoE damage from YSG. You want to bring a full infantry march with this, and not only will you be able to last a long time, but at the same time you also be able to dish out a lot of damage. So Richard YSG is a very popular combination. Apart from being able to be used in Light and Darkness KVK Ruins, you can also use this pairing for farming barbs, or if you're going for the event whereby you're supposed to chain as many, not chain, okay, where you're supposed to survive as long as you can and kill as many barbs as you can before returning your march to your city. I forgot what the name of that event is called. Okay, Richard YSG is really good because you get a lot of tankiness from that Richard, so you'll survive longer against the barbs, and on top of that, you get the AoE from YSG, which means you can pull barbs and chain barbs together, which saves you a lot of AP. So that is another fantastic way for you to use this pairing inside of that event. Okay, now the tankiest march is inside of the game. Richard primary, Charles Martel secondary. This is the tankiest possible march you can get inside of the entire game. Excuse me. So if you're looking for a super tanky open field march, then this is what you want to go with. That being said, this march has literally no damage, but another place where you can use this is to farm kill event points. That's right, guys. Okay, so many of you guys might actually not know, but if you get a Richard Charles Martel and you have a friend who is willing to farm KE points with you, Richard Charles Martel against Richard Charles Martel, you can use T4, you can use T5, it's totally up to you, and you just let them hit each other, and you just go ahead and do your own thing for 2 hours. Just leave it there for 2 hours, come back in 2 hours, and one of you will lose, whichever one has slightly more buffs or a slightly stronger match. It lasts usually between 1.5 to 2 hours. If it's lasting only like 30 minutes, then chances are one of you is way stronger than the other, and you probably shouldn't be using this method because the other one will just eat a huge negative trait. So the best case scenario is if both of you have almost equal buffs, and then you guys can fight each other, and you can come back 2 hours later, and this gives you about 2 to 3 million kill event points. It really depends on how long the battle takes, depending on whether you're using T4 or T5. But this is a very fantastic lazy man's method of farming kill event points. On top of that, if you have already cleared your hospital beforehand, this method, though it won't fill up your hospital completely, it will fill up your hospital by a significant amount. That being said, the good thing is you can actually trigger a fate changer from this, and I have tried this before, so this is actually a fantastic way of triggering fate changer without your city getting rallied. So if you want to buy a fate changer, if your will, in fact I think fate changer is one of the best value packs out there, you should definitely buy it whenever you get a chance to, if you're a mid spender and above. So if you want to get an easy fate changer without running the risk of your city getting rallied, then just call a friend, whip out the Richard and Charles March, let them hit each other, 2 hours later come back, and boom, you have a bunch of kill event points, you have a fate changer ready to buy. Okay, so it's a really fantastic combination. Now let's see what other pairings you can have. Richard Alexander. Richard Alexander is a super strong infantry march. In fact, I would say it is probably the strongest infantry march right now. Okay, maybe Guan Yu and Leonidas is actually slightly better than this, but I'll say Richard and Alexander is an extremely strong infantry march, first if not second. Okay, so you get all the buffs and the shielding from Alexander, and you get all the healing from Richard as well, so you get a nice offensive and defensive bonus coupled into one, so that makes them a really strong infantry march, and I highly recommend you to use it. Okay, you can actually use this inside of Sunset Canyon as well to get a really strong march. Okay, this is one of the pairings that I'm currently using for Sunset Canyon. Okay, you can pair, if you are a slightly more free to play player, you can only afford to max one and you only have Richard max and you don't have a max YSG, you can pair with Sun Tzu as well. Okay, Sun Tzu actually works really well with a Richard primary. Okay, if you don't have a maxed out YSG, then I would recommend you to use a Sun Tzu as a secondary. You still get a bit of AoE, not as great as YSG AoE, but it still is a really good combination. Alternatively, you can pair with UG, but I would prefer Sun Tzu over UG simply because of the AoE. UG is not a bad choice because you get another 30% worth of infantry stats here, but that being said, I would still prefer the AoE. Alright. For a really tanky march, you can pair with CPO as well. If you don't want any damage, you just want a tank all the way, and you don't have a Charles Martel, or you don't have a good Charles Martel, you can pair with CPO, and that will last you for a really long time as well, because CPO also has damage reduction, you get counter attack damage bonus as well, and you get a bit of a heal as well from CPO. Okay, you can also pair with Julius Caesar for a lot of tank. I used to use this. Okay, Julius Caesar, you get damage bonus, you get attack defense bonus, you get damage reduction once again, an additional damage reduction, and you also get troop capacity. So you can pair with Julius Caesar. This works really well for both Ark of Osiris. I know JWM actually used this combination before, and people may laugh at them and whatnot, but this combination actually makes sense, and the troop capacity actually allows you to bring more troops, which means you can actually save on maybe one march inside of Ark of Osiris, and that is very important. But I digress. That's our Ark strategy. I will not delve too deeply into that. So you can actually use Richard Caesar for a tanky open field march, or a Sunset Canyon march, or you can use him in Ark of Osiris as well. Now, any other pairings? Let's check it out here. No, I don't think anything. Okay, Leonidas. This has been quite popular recently. A Richard primary with a Leonidas secondary. I've seen this inside of Sunset Canyon quite a lot, and the reason why is because of Leonidas's expertise skill. You give your Richard so much more extra tankiness when he's about to go down. You get extra 400% damage, you get damage reduction by 50%, which means your Richard is basically almost never going to die. That is just insane. So Richard Leonidas is a really good pairing as well. I've not really seen it much on the open field, but I've seen it quite a lot on the Sunset Canyon recently to devastating effect. So I recommend you guys to try it out as well if you have a Leonidas. Okay, so that's all the possible pairings for Richard. Okay, one more thing I want to add, which I haven't done so in this series, is how you want to build up your Richard if you are not a mega whale. If you can't afford to max him, then a 5511 Richard is actually good enough. If you can afford it, go for 5551, but 5511 is actually very usable already. So if you're not a heavy spender, then 5511 is a good place for your Richard to be at. Some people like to max Richard. For me, Richard is not really my thing. I may max him one day, but for now I don't really have plans on maxing him. So that's it for this Richard Ultimate Commander Guide. Hope you guys have learned something. If you have, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to this channel for more such future content. Till the next time, I'm your host Korriban Gaming. Peace out.